Hello, this is Jeanette at Island Girl Henna. Today I'm going to show you how I create a sketch before I do a painting. And this sketch becomes a pattern I use to do multiple paintings, and I can shrink it or expand it to do multiple sizes. I got inspiration today from this albarello jar, which is from the 16th century Italy, and this pattern right down here really caught my eye, so I'm going to recreate it into a design that will fit on a 6-inch canvas. So here we go. Okay, I like that. So the reason why I did it like this is to have symmetry. Once I draw one, then I could draw trace of it and then use that to recreate it so that it has some nice symmetry to it. A little bit of ingenuity goes a long way. So I want to add in these little berries. I think they're pretty and they'll add a nice delicate touch to it. So I just have to decide on placement. I have to make sure it's going to fit. I mean, this is pretty symmetrical, but I want to make sure it's going to fit in all four corners because the spacing is going to be a little bit different because it is freehand. So I could definitely fit a bunch of berries in here, which will be here, here, and here. So let's do that. I'm just going to make it darker on this one so I could see it better to trace it. And this will change a little bit when I actually go in and paint the design. It's going to be traced onto the canvas, and not all of it is going to be traced, but I do put all the marks on the pattern so that I have it for reference. I'll even mark down the colors I use and what goes where for the colors. Alright, let's do the other berries. I think I will do, I want it in the corner, so it'll come off of here. Probably add a curl, I like that. Just gonna wing it in here because it's in the corner. So the purpose for doing a pattern with maiolica art is so that, say you have a set of dishes and you break one. 10 years later, you could still go back to the designer like Deruda and say, I need another dinner plate in this design, and you're going to end up with the same design. Even though they're hand painted, it's going to look the same when your whole place settings are set out. This is how they actually do it. They'll create a paper design, and since they're doing it on pottery, they'll actually punch holes in the line and then use like a charcoal powder in a cloth, and they put the pattern on the plate and then they tamp it so that the charcoal goes through the paper pattern onto the dish. And they use that pattern to do all the dishes, so all the dishes are the same. So you don't end up with like this little tiny flower on one and then this big flower on another. So I use tracing paper to get this paper pattern onto the canvas instead of using the charcoal powder because it's cleaner. but it's still the same concept. And I'll even use, like for these two circles, you saw me use a compass to draw those out. They use a potter's wheel, and they just put their brush down and spin it, and they get a perfect circle. So I allow myself to use a compass and a ruler to do my lines, my straights and circles, so that because I feel that it fits in with how they create their art. You could see here how this line overlaps here. When they had it on the potter's wheel, that's where they started, it spun around, and that's where it ended as well. So, and some stuff is, you know, it's got some wobbles in it. The designs are not perfect, and it's not supposed to be. It's, you know, for all the years I've been a henna artist, the main goal is precision, getting it as perfect as possible. And then moving on to creating maiolica style paintings, they're not perfect, they're far from it, and they're kind of sloppy, and that is the hardest part for me. So it's interesting and it's fun. I enjoy it. It's a challenge. All right, so next up is to transfer this onto the canvas. Here's our canvas, and I just got to get my tracing paper. Okay, got my tracing paper. I'm going to slide this in here, just like that. Line this up with the two edges of the canvas. Nice thing about using the tracing paper, the lines are thin enough and light enough that when I paint over it, it doesn't show up. So you don't know that I used a pattern. So I'm finished with the tracing. I went over a couple of spots more than once so that it would show up, because it wasn't going through in all sections. It's tough transferring a pattern to a canvas because you don't want to press too hard because you don't want to damage the canvas, but if you don't press hard enough, the transfer paper doesn't work. So there is our design. Now to paint it. That'll be the next video. But this is how it is. This is how it starts. Here's what the pattern looks like now that it's all finished. You could see a little bit of color in here of things that were not sketched onto the canvas that needed to be added. Also my notes for where the pattern came from, my colors, what goes where, and sneak peek. Here's what the painting looks like. But that, like I said, is for the next video. If you're interested in purchasing my art, visit the shop page on my site, islandgirlhenna.com. And please give a like, a subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.